In the book, the way she drafts, it is different than what I showed you. I prefer this method because you can see your notch. So when you're designing, you can see it. She does it where she traces this part to this side first, and then she starts drafting the collar this way. But the notch is over here. And so you can't really, as a designer, it's hard, I think it's hard to see what I'm doing. I like drafting it here because then I can actually see what it's gonna look like when it's laid out. So that's why I'm teaching that to you. If you wanna look at the way she does it in the book, it's fairly similar, it's just she does it like the opposite. You can, but that's why I chose this way. I thought it was easier, and I like being able to see when I'm designing what I'm designing from this direction, not the opposite. Does that make sense? So I showed you how to make this piece, right? And then this piece, our under collar, so which is this. You guys, I'm gonna use, is this Professor Green's? That's what this, and I asked you guys to sew the muslin. Could you hand me my muslin, Ayana? So, right? So you do this because you don't want to be doing this the first time for your final project. You want to have this practice first. Okay, we have some time, right, you guys? We have the next whatever 4 or 5 weeks to just be in this and savor this for a while. So that's the under collar. So I have to draft the top collar, this piece that gets sewn to it. I know maybe this is review for a lot of you because you're taking the advanced sewing class. So this collar needs to be a little bigger so that the seam rolls under and it gets hidden. So that's why this collar always gets drafted a little bigger. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. It's super easy. Some of you might be like, this is kind of boring. Much here. So this is the neckline here where my shoulder is, and this is the outside of the collar. So I'm just gonna draw a straight line. It should work up here. Sorry, I need my line to be over here. Like this, and this is my center back. And I'm gonna line this up on there like this, and I'm gonna trace it because my top collar, again, it's the same as my under collar but a little bigger. So I'm tracing the stitch line. I added seam allowance to this so it would be a final pattern, but I'm only tracing the stitch lines because I'm gonna add to the outside. So again, there's different ways of doing this. Different pattern makers have different styles and reasons for doing things. I'm just gonna have you guys do the standard 1/8 of an inch on the outside. So remember, this is my neckline. This is against the neck, and that's my shoulder. And this is where I'm connecting to my, my lapel. This is the outside. So on the outside here, this is the outside part, I'm gonna add an 1/8 of an inch, and that's all it is. So I'm just gonna take my ruler and add an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, okay? Easy breezy, and call it done, okay? And then it's going to 0 right here. So I'm gonna just angle my ruler. I'm adding an 1/8, but I have to go to 0 right here. Okay, so plus an 1/8 of an inch, starting at the center back, and then I'm adding it 1/8 of an inch to 0 at notch point. okay? So right here. So this is what I'm adding to it.
Could we use a 1/2 inch instead of 1/8?
No, only an 1/8. You only need an 1/8, just that little teeny bit. Some people do even less because they only put it in certain places and they do even less. This is a nice simple way, an 1/8 of an inch, and then that just makes it so that this lays and rolls properly, okay? If you put a 1/2 inch, then it's gonna be weird, right? Right. So now this is my new pattern piece, this line here, and now I'm just gonna trace that off, right? So this line here and this line here. So that's my new top collar, and it's gonna have these same notches. Okay, and the top collar I definitely want on the fold, because I don't like that. I don't really want to have a seam back here, right? It's kind of, no one really does that. This is on the fold. This can be on the seam. I see that all the time on the, I guess if there's a fold here, it's probably more expensive, higher end. So it could be on the bias too. If you want to do a seam here, you can. But this definitely, I would put that on the fold so that you don't have that seam showing, okay? Okay, so that's your new pattern here. I'll mark it blue. It's all of this. It's slightly different than the other guy, the undercolor. My top color is a little better. So now we have our lapel, we have our undercolor, we have our top color. So we've drafted this. Now I'm going to show you this, the facing that gets connected to the lining. On Wednesday, when we meet again, I'm going to show you guys how to do this foundation. So I'm going to show you how you can like move the dart and drop the sleeve and make it bigger for a suit, a traditional like jacket foundation. And I'm going to show you how to do the back too, okay? I might only have time to do the front on Wednesday and the back on Monday, we'll see. Okay, so that's our top color. Is that clear, everyone? This is top color. 1/4 inch because it's the collar. So you'll add that 1/4 inch all the way around. All right, plus 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. All right, so that's the top collar. Now the facing. So same thing with the facing. We just have to make it a little bit bigger to allow for the sleeve. Did you guys notice that on your patterns for your jackets that you're making in the advanced class? Was it a little bigger? Slightly bigger? My facing, I'm just gonna trace. I'm going to draw on a grain line first, right? Always good to have that grain line. Those of you that are in the advanced sewing class, is it helping to have sewn fit once?
It was a while ago.
Or is any of it like sinking in when you're watching this demo? Okay. No?
Yeah, I'm kind of like seeing how if I want to like make it different. Like I can make it different because I've already sewn it together for once. So like now I'm seeing I was kind of like, oh, if I want to make it like this, I just need to do this.
Yep.
Like
Yep. So I'm gonna call this my grain line. I'm gonna start tracing. So I'm tracing my stitch line. And remember, facings are 2 inches, standard. So let's just stick with that. We don't need to be creative with the width of our facing necessarily. So I'm tracing this outside edge. Let's do the ruler for speed, because it's just a straight line. And then here's my curve. And my neck. And then my shoulder. So I'm gonna do 2 inches plus seam allowance, so 2 1/4. So I wanna come out 2 1/4. Okay, so 2 1/4 there. And then I'm gonna come out 2 1/4 here. And here I'm gonna, so this is a straightaway, right? So I'm gonna use my ruler and just get this straight, but then I'm going to use my Very Curve to blend it into here. And I want to transfer notches. So this notch where it connects to the collar, and here where my break point is. So now I need this guy, and I can come out straight a little bit, square it out a little bit, and then you're gonna have to play somewhat with your curve to get it right. Oh, it's not gonna work. This is better. So just like that. So there's my facing. I'm almost done. I just need to add my 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna add an 1/8 of an inch from here, from this point to 0 here, this point to 0 here. Okay, so come out an 1/8 of an inch here, down to 0 there, and come out an 1/8 of an inch here, down to 0 here, and that's it. So this here is an 1/8 of an inch, and oops, 1/8 of an inch here, down to 0, okay? And this is down to 0. Oops.
How far is that notch?
This notch?
Yeah.
So this was the notch that we did in our demo on Wednesday, and I think I did it an 1.25 inches, and that was a specific measurement that I gave you guys, right? And that's just transferred from here. So we drew our line, our lapel line up, and then we measured back 1.25 inches, and then we measured out 1.25 inches. So this is kind of a standard, right? I'm teaching you a standard, so it's simple and easy, straightforward for your final. Though, if you want to, you know, play with this a little bit, you can, and make it a peaked. There's all those different styles. Does that make sense? So that's where this notch came from. Just got it? And this is the break point that we also determined that when we were drafting our lapel. We wanted to know where that break point was. Again, that's something else that you as a designer for your final can mess with. That's another place where you can have it lower if you wanted, maybe a little higher. I wouldn't do anything too extreme. So I kept mine just kind of like right above the waist. I think it's more attractive on a woman to be like up here, make your legs look longer. So that's where that came from. Does that make sense? So this is your sleeve then. I mean, sorry, top, facing. Facing. So you're gonna trace this out and add seam allowance. So seam allowance is 1/4 inch for the facing. Okay. And then another thing you guys can customize, maybe you don't want it square. Maybe you want to do a rounded, right? Rounded here at the bottom. So maybe it's like this for your final. That's another popular style, right? So those are the things that you can kind of play with for your final design. So here's my...
Why do you need 1/8?
So again, it's the same reason. When we fold this back, see how we don't want that, right? We want this to be beautiful and be rolled and laying like this. So if we add that 1/8 of an inch to the facing, it's gonna give us that. So this isn't a notched collar, but this top collar, they've added 1/8 of an inch so that, is there a seam or is it just folded?
Answer that shirt.
I can't.
Oh, that one.
There you go. So, did you make this?
No.
No? So this is top stitched on top. So, you know, that's something you could do for your sewn garment if you want to. I mean, traditionally, it's left like this, not top stitched, because that you have that beautiful soft roll, and if you're working with wool, you know, flannel or something, or satin, you don't want to. This is like a cotton camp shirt, so it makes sense they top stitched it, but the top stitching helps it stay rolled over too, right? Okay. Your front, this is the front facing, is what it's called. And it's gonna be cut 2, so on your pattern. This is the top collar, depending if it's on the fold. Well, I told you guys, I want you guys to put it on the fold. So it's gonna be cut 1. Okay, and then you have to add your seam allowance to this too. Is that clear? 1/4 inch all the way around. And that's it. I don't want you guys to get too overwhelmed. So here though, it's gonna be a half, right? This is the shoulder. So I'm glad I'm doing this. Shoulder's a half. Neck is 1/4. So we're gonna add 1/4 all around the neck. And then 1/4 to the edge here. This is gonna get sewn to the body of the jacket. And 1/4 on the outside, because that's gonna get sewn to the lining. So this gets sewn to the lining, right? So 1/4, half. Confused. 1/2 inch seam allowance because this is our shoulder. This, I did this 2 1/4 inches wide. And this is 1/4 because it's our neck, right? You guys all know this. And 1/4 here. And then down here, this gets attached. We're gonna do 1/4. To the lining, okay? Don't need to waste fabric. And these, you'll have to connect these to the lining, just so that if there's any ease in here on this curve, whenever there's a curve, it's good to have a couple of notches. One up there and one down here. I'm gonna put this one, one, two, three, 4, 6 inches. S- 6 inches from the bottom. And this one is 4 inches from the top. Okay. All right. Any other questions?